everybody, and welcome to Pivot Points. I'm Brian.
And I'm Dennis.
And tonight, the subject you've all been waiting for, because I tweeted about it one time, Alex Jones.
Alex fucking Jones.
Yeah. I am simultaneously disgusted and excited to finally be doing this for the third time.
Yeah, for those that don't know, this is actually our third attempt at recording this podcast right now. And if any of you happen to be familiar with Alex Jones, you'll realize exactly how painful that is.
Between Dennis and I, at this point, we have put over 24 hours of work into Alex Jones between watching his stuff and listening to his stuff and reading about his stuff and talking about his stuff. And I think we are both extremely sick of this man.
Yeah, suffice it to say, Alex Jones will not be a topic of the podcast anytime soon after tonight.
No. And we're only doing this one because we said we would. Like, we're fucking sticking to
Right.
our guns at this point.
Right.
This is,
For whatever reason, this was actually our first podcast idea when we first started talking about it. And we decided we are going to do this episode after all the work we put into it. It's going to get made.
Oh, and, you know, with episode 1 having turned out to be cognitive bias, I can't really think of a better lead-in.
Right, absolutely.
So for those of you who don't know Alex Jones, which I think is a minority at this point because of the alt-right coming to such prominence lately, Alex Jones is a media personality. I hesitate to call him a newscaster, but I guess he technically is, for a site called InfoWars. So InfoWars is an extremely biased news site. I hate to even call them conservative viewpoints because they're not conservative viewpoints.
No, they're not.
Yeah, I don't want to lump conservatives in like that. I mean, I'll openly admit that I have a left-leaning bias, but I don't hate conservatives like I hate Alex Jones.
I would agree. And for those that are curious, InfoWars and Alex Jones specifically on the website MediaBiasFactCheck.com are listed under conspiracy pseudoscience with a low factual reporting ranking. And their conspiracy level is ranked as tinfoil hat. So that gives you a general idea of the quality that comes out of InfoWars.
You don't know how pleasing that is for me to hear after all this time. I'm guessing you just looked that up, and I
did.
thank you.
I did. We were talking about it. I said, I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I thank you for looking it up because that really made my night. So we're going to start this off by playing a clip of Alex Jones because we think there's probably a lot of you who haven't listened to his show, and rightfully so. I don't advocate listening to his show. I did it just because we had to do research for the show.
Right.
Dennis did it a few times. I did it much more than him because I am stupid. And now I'm banned from watching it in the house. And it's not a bad thing. I promise you I'm not going to be lamenting over that ban anytime soon. But here's a little clip for you guys. A little bit of something he had to say about Hillary Clinton.
Just like the Bible says, it's basically an intergalactic invasion into this space through people. I'm telling you, it's what all the ancients said. It's what they warned of. It's what we're dealing with. They're demons. They're frickin' interdimensional invaders, okay? I'll just say it. Make fun of me all you want on CNN or wherever, but everyone already innately knows this. These people are not frickin' humans, okay? Hillary Clinton is a goddamn demon. Excuse me, taking the word. It's not taking it in vain. She is a demon damned to hell. All I know is whether they're interdimensional demons, whatever they are, let's say that's an allegory. All I know is they're the same thing. Psychopaths operate, they're not human. I don't like them, okay? And my very humanity just is just like, yeah, take them on. But if you want to fight, you're going to get one, you inhuman, soulless pieces of trash. I see you real good. And I know our species is stronger than you and better than you. We're going to beat your ass. Get that through your head.
Okay, so that is a fairly regular example of the sort of vitriolic nonsense that regularly is spewed by Alex Jones and InfoWars.
Yeah, we're not going to give you, I guess we're not going to say that you have everything you need to know about Alex Jones just from listening to that one clip, obviously. But it's just kind of par for the course. That is who he is.
Right. And obviously, as Brian mentioned earlier, the rise of the alt-right has definitely brought Alex Jones into further prominence. But the arguably more important reason that we should pay attention to Alex Jones is that he has the ear of the President of the United States.
And if you think that we're being sensationalist with that, there is a video clip on YouTube. I'll try to remember to include it in the description. I make no promises, but it shouldn't be too hard to find. Alex Jones does an interview with Trump, and Trump speaks to how much he respects Alex Jones, how much he likes the show. And I'll tell you, this is a show that, you know, Alex Jones, the host, and I'm pretty sure the founder of the channel or something, it's not entirely clear, but he advocated for someone committing suicide. He encouraged somebody that he was speaking to through the show to put a gun to their head and pull the trigger.
Yeah, he's a truly despicable person that the current sitting president of the United States apparently calls in the evening for advice.
Advice, that's what he calls it.
That's what he calls
it. Put the quotation
advice.
marks around that.
Yeah,
It's
quotation
not
marks
advice.
He, you know, Alex Jones appears to be the source of the now infamous media being the enemy of the people tweet from Donald Trump, and just in general has far more sway over the president than anybody should feel comfortable with.
No, absolutely. And considering, I mean, look, if you don't like Steve Bannon and you don't like Breitbart, InfoWars regularly sources Breitbart as a means of information and kind of points to Breitbart as a good place to get news. So if that helps your opinion, then there you go.
Right. Yeah, Breitbart is arguably a little more well-known than InfoWars at this point, but I wonder if that isn't changing to some degree, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, InfoWars is becoming better known just because it's become like almost like a joke.
Right,
like it's so ridiculous.
Right. Well, the clips that travel around all the time of Alex Jones just losing his mind on his
He's
show.
making the frogs gay.
Right.
Obama is making your frogs gay.
Exactly. So,
which is bad because then they can't get married.
No.
No. I guess it would be fine if we did just do like a 30-minute bash fest right now, but take heart, we are not about to do a 30-minute bash fest on Alex Jones.
Right.
We do have more than that to say. You just have to understand we are so stressed. We're so sick of that man.
Yeah, to say that we both have some venting to do on the subject would be an understatement, but
yeah,
there is a overall purpose of this. So
yeah, so one of the things we wanted to talk about, and we've kind of started talking about it already, is just the crazy ideas that Alex Jones has about reality. Like, I know you had gone and kind of looked at what some of Alex Jones' more ridiculous claims were. Do you have like a reference there of like some of the stupid shit he said?
Yeah, absolutely. A quick rundown. This is far from a complete or comprehensive list of all of the crazy things that he has said. But on the list of crazy things he has said, he is a 9/11 truther. In other words, he does believe that the government had direct handling in the carrying out of the 9/11 attacks.
And that is the least egregious of his claims. So we're just getting started.
Oh, we're just getting started. He is a believer that the Sandy Hook massacre, was a false flag operation by the government. And I always forget, and we've tried to do this 3 times, and all 3 times I forgot now. Does he or does he not believe that any children are actually killed in this false flag operation?
So he believed that children were killed at first, and then he came back and did another video where he said that the children were actors and that no children were killed, and it was all like a hoax from the ground up.
Okay, so nobody was killed in his world then.
In his world, no.
Right. But that does make sense. So I do recall seeing a video of him like lashing out at one of the parents, I believe.
Yeah, so that's all. So just
Yeah, exactly. It's disgusting. He believes that we never landed on the moon, that the moon landing was a hoax.
Okay, so that is the least egregious of the claims.
Yeah, I was going to say, of the claims, that's probably the least painful.
Yeah.
It's still painful if you're a lover of science, but from a lot of other perspectives, it's not quite as bad.
Right.
He also believes, as Brian mentioned earlier, that the government is putting chemicals in the water specifically to make frogs gay for reasons only known to Alex Jones himself.
Can't. Oh my gosh, there's no time that I'm going to hear about that I'm not going to laugh.
Yeah, it's terrible. Beyond all of his crazy beliefs, his whole MO in general is just baffling. If you're watching him, he regularly promises that he's got all of this convincing and concrete evidence. He's got all these papers on his desk that he's constantly shuffling around on his desk, and it's all the information is right there. But he never actually shares that information with anybody. It's all just right there.
It's like the not funny version of what Jon Stewart used to do on The Daily Show with
Yeah.
like the piece of paper. Like, but
Right.
it's not funny because fucking Alex Jones is crazy.
Right, right. And he kind of engages in a sort of gish gallop of just absolute nonsense information. He just constantly is hitting his listeners and viewers with more and more garbage, overwhelming them. Like if you even if you're attempting to watch it with a sense of rationality, you're going to start getting overwhelmed at how much trash is being thrown at your face at that moment, and you're not going to be able to pick it all up.
Yeah, it becomes hard to keep up. Like watching what I've watched and watching the amount of Alex Jones that I've watched, it's really hard to even keep up with which point he's on. For example, the first video we ever watched about Alex Jones was the one where he's talking to the whatever fucking amount of votes that Trump said he got that Trump said that Hillary got that she shouldn't have gotten.
Right.
And,
no, he was talking about Trump said 3 million illegal votes is what Trump
and
said.
Alex Jones said closer to 8 million or something.
Yeah,
Just
well,
pulled
the
out
number
of his
the
ass.
number shifted. It went from 8 million to 9 million to 10 million. And early on, in the beginning of this particular episode, he said the number was anywhere from 4 million to 20 million, and that this was all verified from prestigious universities and poli-sci departments.
Which ended up being like a tweet that somebody sent.
Yeah, a tweet from some completely, somebody that was relatively unconnected or relatively unrelated to the entire situation. He just happened to tweet 3 to 5 million illegal votes. More to come. And of course, nothing really ever came.
Oh, yeah. Well, nothing ever came of Alex Jones' quote-unquote report.
There was a single study that they were able to point to that indicated a possibility of upwards of 800,000 illegal votes. And that's the only piece of information that's out there. And even that study is in question.
Right, and it wouldn't make a difference.
No,
because
it still wouldn't have given him the popular vote.
No, absolutely not. And he won the fucking election. Why does he care so much? But this isn't about Trump. This is about Alex Jones.
Right.
And anyways, in the video itself, he starts out talking to that point a little bit, and he says, after the break, I've got a big report. And he even goes so far as to say, like, I shouldn't even be here. I should be back there compiling data.
Right.
Fucking, it's total garbage, but it's like formatted in a way that it sounds impressive.
Right. But that's a regular technique of his, what you just said.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
constantly talking about how I'm going to have somebody else come in here to run this show just so I can sit here and compile all this information. He never does. He never
absolutely
compiles
not.
anything.
Well, he's in love with
Nothing's ever
himself.
gonna-
He wouldn't.
Right. But the other constant, though, for him is everyone knows this. He's always repeating, everyone knows this. He basically tries to make the viewers and listeners seem like if you didn't know this already, you should know it because everybody knows this.
Well, the logic is circular, right? Like, if
Right.
he tells you, well, of course you already know this, then you're like, oh, yeah, I guess I did know that. And he's like, see, even the viewers know. Like, and
Right,
like, well,
right.
you just
Well-
gave them that. Like, they didn't have that previously.
A perfect example of that is the illegal voting thing, because Trump had picked up the illegal voting thing from that first tweet, which is the same place that InfoWars picked it up on.
Right.
Trump goes out there and says that there's these 3 million illegal votes. InfoWars and Alex Jones go out there and repeat it, and all these people start believing it because Donald Trump and Alex Jones both say it. And then Donald Trump goes ahead and does a TV interview where somebody directly questions him on that and says, you have no proof. You've provided no evidence. And Trump's response, there's a lot of people that believe this. That's all
Right,
he's got. There's a lot of people that believe it because you told them it was the truth. And
Right.
you can't, so to go back and use that as evidence in support of your position is completely circular.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, that's the business model.
Right. It's just so frustrating to watch happen. The fact that people would actually fall for that is so incredibly frustrating, but it happens. And it's not that these people are stupid. There's elements I honestly think, and I'm kind of going on a limb on this one, but there's almost elements of it that seem similar to like brainwashing techniques,
Right. And well, here's, I guess, another part of the puzzle. And this is something we talked about previously because we've only talked about Alex Jones 3 times now. But Essentially, Alex Jones is really good at working information that is partially true or completely true and folding it into like crocs and crocs of bullshit.
Right.
A really good example, something we were talking about originally when we first started this. In that same video that talks about the illegal votes, he goes off on a tangent about how the Chinese are buying up Hollywood. And during that tangent, he makes a point that Hollywood is catering its message in some of its movies to be more pro-Chinese. Now, that is in some respects actually a true sentiment. Hollywood does have a tendency to kind of keep China in mind when it's working movies, but it's not because of some crazy fucking conspiracy theory. It's because China's a massive market for them.
Right. There's purely market-driven reasons for these things to happen, but Alex Jones sees conspiracy in everything.
Right, but then the fact in it is enough to get people thinking like, wait a second. I remember in Iron Man 3 when they, brought that Chinese movie star in for the Chinese cut of the movie and they played down the Mandarin in the Chinese cut of the movie. Or how in Doctor Strange they never really called the monk Tibetan because China doesn't like talking about Tibet.
Right, exactly.
I mean, that's by far not the only example of Alex Jones folding a little bit of truth into a lot of bullshit. It's just the one that comes to mind for me right now.
Right. That's the video I think that we watch the most of. I mean,
yeah.
That's the one I did like a detailed breakdown of because I refused to have to watch it anymore. So I actually wrote down about 3 pages worth of notes on the whole video detailing the whole thing. So
yeah,
it was terrible. It's terrible. His whole shtick is just terrible.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I feel like that's going to be like half of this recording is just us saying how terrible Alex Jones and InfoWars are.
Right.
But, I mean, you made a really, really good point when we were talking about him one time, and I totally forgot to include it in the show notes, so I'm going to go a little bit off of our outline here. But you made a really good point. You were paralleling him to a host that you used to listen to, a radio host you used to listen to.
Oh, yeah. Folks that used to listen to AM radio late at night back in the 90s and early 2000s might remember a guy named Art Bell. Now, before anybody gets too incredulous, if you do happen to remember who Art Bell is, I'm not saying it's a direct comparison. Art Bell was not Alex Jones. He was nowhere near as vitriolic or just vile as Alex Jones is. And in fact, he wasn't at all. But what was interesting about Art Bell to me was that there were times there was almost something hypnotic about him. You almost wanted to believe the things that were on his shows. Art always did a great job. For those who don't know, I should actually say this. Art Bell hosted a radio show called Coast to Coast AM for a long time on AM radio. It would run from midnight to like 5 a.m. usually. And I happened to sit up and listen to it quite a bit when I was younger. But he always did a great job at, bringing on different guests and promoting different conspiracy theories. He himself might not necessarily jump in with it, but there was a certain hypnotic quality to the entire show. And there was something about Alex Jones that just reminded me of that. There's a hypnotic quality to his shtick. And that, to me, kind of highlights why he's even effective at all. Like, if you're even remotely inclined to believe the things that he's promoting, you almost want to believe it. You almost want to be, it's like being woke as fuck. Like, you want to be part of that group. You want to be part of that in-group. Art Bell used to do a great job at making people feel part of the in-group.
Right, and as far as the hypnotic effect goes, it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier, and that is that everybody knows this. He goes back to that almost. I'd be interested actually to look if I ever cared to watch any of his videos again, but I'd be interested to go back and look and see if there isn't almost a reliable amount of time between when he says that or when he says things like that, because it seems like he returns back to that in almost like I don't know what the right word to say there is, like almost like a metronome.
Right, like a metronomic quality to it. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I would be kind of curious to look at that as well. The other thing that's interesting about him is and this is something that I've heard you mention before when we were talking about him, is he's somebody that people have a very easy time apologizing for.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because there's a great video that actually just recently started circulating about him of all these times where he's sitting there, he has this total freak out, and then he puts his hand on his forehead. He says, "I'm sorry for that." And he's selling himself as this really passionate guy.
Right. He just gets fired up. That's all.
Right. Exactly. He just gets fired up. Like, he can't be blamed for saying that Hillary Clinton is trying to run a child sex ring out of a pizza parlor. He just gets fired up. He just loves America so much that he would say something like that.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the sort of mindset that people have with him, though.
Right. And, I can understand that to a degree. I'm not apologizing for them or him in any degree, but I can understand why somebody who gets fired up would be a little uncouth. Our first episode and this episode has more than its fair share of uses of the word fuck in it. And,
right.
I don't shy away from cursing, but it's not the same thing as spewing hate.
Right. And that's what he does. And that's part of what makes him so dangerous, I think, is that he has sucked these people in. And now he's convincing them of all these truly terrible things about other people. And a big part of it is he dehumanizes people. When he was talking about China in that show, there wasn't a single mention of China that didn't mention communist China. It was always communist China or the communist Chinese. And he's trying to dehumanize that entire country. Anybody that lives there is not fully human in his world.
Right. And then, bring it all back around to the products that he sells, right?
Oh,
so,
gosh.
Obama is poisoning your water to make the frogs gay, and China is taking over your movie theaters and trying to control your children's mind. So take Fluoride Shield. That way, I don't know, the government's fluoride chemicals don't make you want to sell your soul to China.
Right.
I don't know.
He's got the perfect scheme. I mean, he sits there, gets people to believe in a total nonsense conspiracy that's like, this stuff is going to kill you. Hey, guess what? I have the cure. And it's the same shtick over and over. And that's what, ultimately, it's a big part of what it is for him, is that he's just making money off of it. I'm not sure he ever anticipated actually having the ear of the president. I almost wonder if he doesn't know what to fully do with that sort of power.
Well, that was, and we looked back. I remember we looked back and discussed, because we both had this idea that, like, I bet you at the beginning of the presidential race, he was supporting a different horse, like Cruz or Rubio or somebody.
Right.
But, afterwards, you made a really good point that, like, Trump has always been anti-government. Alex Jones has always been anti-government.
Right. They were kind of a perfect couple to begin with. And while I also was expecting to find Alex Jones supporting someone else, when we found out he wasn't, it made a lot of sense. And in retrospect, that should not have been shocking to us. Trump has for a very long time been on the same side as Alex Jones.
Well, and if you look at his newest videos too, I feel like he's a fish out of water now. Especially after going back and watching some of his old videos and coming to some of his new videos. I mean, his message has been so relentlessly anti-government for so long. Bring down the system, bring down the New World Order, that he almost kind of stumbles over supporting the government and supporting what Trump's doing. He apologizes for it a lot. He says, Trump's going to do things to make things better. His plan is to make America great again or whatever else. He's so out of his element now, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a shtick that he's been running for 15 years now or so. Or I think it's close to how long he's been on the radio. I mean, he's been on for a long time. And just to kind of highlight the point we made earlier, where he's not strictly, hardcore right wing, he actually interviewed Dennis Kucinich years ago. And if folks that don't remember, Dennis Kucinich was similar in a way to the Bernie Sanders of the 2004 and 2008 elections. He was the extreme progressive candidate on the Democratic ticket back then. And so, Alex Jones interviewed him, and he also interviewed Noam Chomsky. So there are certain parallels there in that both Kucinich and Chomsky had very serious issues with different things the government was doing that happened to coincide with issues that Alex Jones had as well. So he's not above bringing in people from what would typically be the other side in his opinion.
Right. our plan going into this and kind of how we handled it in the last episode was when we started getting to this point in the show, we, tried to decide, or we tried to talk about some of the ways that you could combat the problem that we were talking about. This episode, I feel like it's more difficult. A lot of the things from our last episode are relevant here about cognitive bias because absolutely Alex Jones plays in the realm of cognitive bias. I think one of my friends, when I told them we were doing this episode after the cognitive bias episode, they responded with, "Oh yeah, Alex Jones is like cognitive bias made into a human being." I was like, "Yeah, no, that's fair. That's
absolutely.
a fair assessment."
Absolutely. I mean, originally, if we're being fully honest, these were supposed to be one episode, but we've kind of changed the format a bit and split the two up. So the cognitive bias episode very much relates to Alex Jones. So if we're going to talk about ways of combating it, instead of rehashing all of the information in the first episode, for anybody that wants to, just go back and listen to the first episode about halfway through.
Which, speaking of, Dennis, by the way, I got a lot of feedback on that. People seem to really like that aspect of it. So that's something we plan on continuing going forward.
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
To, if we're talking about a problem, we don't have the plan of sitting here and talking about all the world's problems because, isn't America depressing enough with Trump at the helm?
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of at a loss with it. This episode was, I admit, a little bit ranty at times, but I'm not sure how you avoid that when you're dealing with a topic like Alex Jones.
Yeah, I don't think that you really can.
No, my like we said at the beginning, our hope was maybe people would gain a little bit of perspective on him,
right?
That had in the past not ever wanted to listen to him, and that's one way you can help. Don't click on his YouTube links. Don't ever give him any support in any way, shape, or form.
Which I feel like makes us a little bit of hypocrites right now, considering we listen to...
No, think of it this way. We bit the bullet on this one so that other people wouldn't have to. So for every listener that we get that listens to this that decides not to ever click on an Alex Jones link, that's one, bit of revenue we've taken away from him. So there you go.
Right. That's the important part. Right. Ruin Alex Jones' revenue stream. Make his life more difficult.
Right.
So I guess one of the things I want to highlight, though, before we wrap everything up here, is that this issue with Alex Jones, it doesn't just exist on the right. Like, it's a problem everywhere.
Right. I don't think there's a direct equivalent of Alex Jones on the left, but...
Well, yeah, but like we said, Alex Jones isn't the right. Like, he's his own brand of crazy because he's out there screaming about, some of the things that the far left people are. He's screaming about some of the things that the far right people are. Like, he's his own crazy incarnate. But
right. Well, it's the alt-right. You know what I mean? It's a different game. It's a bit of a different game from traditional conservatism. He's not a traditional conservative by any stretch of the imagination.
No, absolutely. But it's something we've got to kind of look out for. It's fun to laugh at when we're talking about Alex Jones. It's a lot of fun to laugh at when we're talking about Alex Jones. But
right. It's just so much ridiculousness.
Oh, God.
In it.
Like, just in his very core, like, everything about Alex Jones is ridiculous. But, it's kind of important to make sure that we don't go a similar way as him in our own causes. Not to say that we're going to ever get to the point of Alex Jones necessarily. I mean, it's important to remember that it's not impossible for someone to get to his level of crazy because he managed to make it there.
Right. But at the same time, you have to wonder if that isn't just, and this is something that a coworker I was discussing this topic with mentioned, you can't ever be certain that it isn't just a game for him, that this isn't just a character he's playing, because he is selling products. He's a businessman. I'm sure that some of this is real for him. But I honestly wonder if there isn't more of more showmanship there than he would like people to believe.
I don't know if that makes it better or worse, though.
No, I'm not saying it makes it better or worse.
I'm not accusing you of saying that either. What I'm saying is,
motherfucker,
I don't know if that makes it better or if it makes it worse. Like, I don't know if I hate him more, if that's the case, or if I hate him less if that's the case.
To be honest, I think for me, it would make it worse. that if he was just being a showman.
Right, that he's willing to throw people into the fucking
Right.
water just so he can sell some dick pills
Right.
or whatever he's
Literally.
selling.
Right, because the stuff that he's putting out there, it's hurting people. He is getting people hurt. He is directly impacting people's lives with the stuff that he promotes, like the negative stuff he promotes, because he's promoting an ideology that people are out there and they're just lapping it up and they're voting based off of that.
And his blood pressure.
And
We're just
that-
worried about you, buddy. We're just worried. You gotta
for
calm
real.
the fuck down.
For real. You've got some serious like veins almost bursting on your forehead
Oh my
type
gosh,
level
man.
stress going on. You have got to calm down, dude.
Oh man, before you turn completely into a tomato. That's my biggest concern. No, but no, yeah, we probably should wrap it up here before we get even more ridiculous. I would apologize to you,
Yeah.
Alex Jones, but I mean every fucking word of it. I hate you, buddy. I hate you.
Yeah. Sorry. Straight up, fuck you, Alex.
Yeah, exactly. Hashtag fuck you, Alex Jones.
Yeah.
No, seriously, go tweet that, everybody. No, but like, this is an episode, as we stated at the beginning, we worked on quite a few times. We're happy to finally be able to put it together. It seems like we're going to make it all the way to the end without a computer error, hopefully.
Right. This is a tough episode to make. It's not going to be, I'm not sure if it's going to be typical of our format all the time. Like I said, we usually like to try and incorporate stuff that, ways you can address the problem and, how do you address the problem of Alex Jones? Well, that's back in episode 1.
Yeah,
So-
well, and I don't want to run around doing hit jobs on people either. Like, that's not...
No, that's not our point. That's not our game either. It's just that Alex Jones in particular, he really is so
Well,
vile.
and he's a phenomenon
And-
to himself. Like, he's
Yeah.
a philosophical and political phenomenon.
Let's, you know what? I think if we keep doing this, we're just going to keep coming up with new and new definitions for
Yeah,
him.
I
So,
know, right? So we need to go back and compile and do a video of like all of the definitions we gave for Alex Jones in this.
Oh boy! All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening again. We really appreciate your continued support, and we hope that you'll be returning for episode 3.
Please remember to subscribe, like our video, comment below, follow us on Twitter, all that other obligatory stuff we have to say at the end to encourage
Yeah.
you guys to get engaged because, we're still super new. So everything you do matters.
Don't forget hashtag fuck Alex Jones.
No, absolutely. Hashtag fuck Alex Jones. I'm actually about to go tweet that right now.
Right. All right. Thanks so much for listening. Good night, everybody.
Good night.